All right, let's go ahead and kick things off here. Hello, everyone, and welcome to webinar Simplify Ellucian Ethos Integrations while streamlining campus processes. Go ahead and introduce ourselves here. We've got myself, Ben Perez, Product Director, and we have Jason Pyle, our Chief Technology Officer from Lingk. And we're excited to get things going, so we're just going to jump right in. Just to review our agenda, we've got the pathway to the cloud, things that we're going to cover, challenges facing Ellucian institutions. We'll go over some integrations, use cases, enabling the connected campus, and then we'll address some time at the end for some question and answers. First, we're going to kick off a poll here, get some information from all of you, learn about our attendees. What SIS is your institution using? All right, we got some results here. Looks like we got a lot of Ellucian banner and colleague. The majority of banner, 61% of our attendees are banner, 35% are colleague. Welcome, everyone. All right, let's jump in here. So institutions struggle with many pain points. Some important ones that they need solved include security, accessibility, cost management. We need to be able to deploy and manage secure hosted environments. It's what people are telling us, right? We've got some cool facts here. 79% of colleges and universities were targeted by a ransomware attack in the previous 12 months, up from 64% in 2021. 61% of institutions have a high or very high risk of being targeted for litigation due to accessibility issues. And then cost management perspective, we need reliable, consistent pricing. We can't manage our limited resources if we learn post-implementation of extra fees or maintenance or support costs. Fair. Integrations can produce issues, and Ethos can surface complexity. So doing and achieving this brings additional considerations such as Ethos. So finding the right solution to support your needs for content management and process automation can significantly impact your organization's efficiency, collaboration, and information management. However, with numerous options available in the market, it's crucial to approach the buying process with a clear strategy. Moving to the cloud offers the following: improved data security and visibility, better data insights, new operational efficiencies, dispersed load on IT staff, and expanded digital access for students and staff. So let's get to another poll here. When is your institution planning on moving to the cloud? Give everyone a minute to respond there. It's a pretty big deal, moving to the cloud. All right, the results are in. So we've got 19% that are currently running SaaS-based SIS. We got some people, some attendees, 19% that are planning in the next year or two. And then a lot of unsure people. Probably not people making the decision, right? It's a big decision to make. All right, let's go to Jason. Over to you on these.
Yes. So if as everybody on this call is an Ellucian customer from that first question, everybody's heard about Ethos. And for those who are using a SaaS environment or planning, it's probably become very apparent that Ellucian Ethos is the way to integrate applications in the Ellucian cloud. Um, Currently, you can't do like direct database for a SIS with Ellucian, et cetera. And the supported mechanism is using all the different Ethos services that exist. We're all very aware that Ellucian is really focused and they've stated their goals. They want to get every client to the cloud. And so if an institution hasn't explored Ethos or isn't aware that Ethos will be playing a big part as your SIS moves to the cloud or your Ellucian SIS moves to the cloud. The migration to cloud-based integrations, whether they're Ethos or not, it's a very challenging aspect, yet very critical to get right. And I state that because of the sheer number of integrations that you have at your institutions, typically over 50 integrations with the SIS. That you might have to look at how do I redo those. You're also dealing with integrations with other systems like the LMS, and you have a small IT staff trying to do all of this. And so that's a lot going on in addition to moving your SIS to the cloud, handling all of those integrations, organizing them, and getting them to a place when you move to the cloud. Additionally, Ethos it has a complex integration developer experience. There's different services that provide different functionality for different use cases, and it can be challenging figuring out the right services to use. And so, Ben, if we move to the next slide, um, what you see in Ethos now, and with the introduction of services like Data Connect, Data Access, is there's multiple integration use cases that you can support in Ethos. There's the publish subscribe that's been part of Ethos since the very foundation. Something changes in a source system, and my data has to get to some other target system. Your synchronous API calls. I'm a third party and I call the Ethos APIs to get data back. But data access introduces something called that's almost like a read cache in the cloud that allows quicker data access. Data Connect introduces something, a service around bulk data extract from your transactional database. And so there's a lot of options to support these use cases. Ethos integration, Data Connect, data access. Even when you get into APIs, there's different kinds of APIs, self-service APIs, data model APIs, business process APIs. And how do you figure out when you have a lot of complexity and a small staff, which of these services is right for your use case to satisfy what you need? Because if you've done any work with Ethos, it's not as simple as just simply calling the data model APIs and expecting responses that are performant. And so it's very, very complex. And moving on, Ben. So in the demo that I'm going to show in just a minute, um, wanted to highlight what we're doing in this demo as between Softdocs and the eTrieve product and the Lingk platform. And so eTrieve, we have a form. It's going to be a section change form. And at the point that form is loading up, eTrieve is actually sending a request to a REST endpoint that the Lingk platform's hosting. The Lingk platform gets that request, and what we're using in this circumstance is Ethos GraphQL or data access to retrieve that data very quickly. And as we retrieve that data, we package it up as JSON packets and then ship it off to eTrieve Connect. And so a pretty straightforward workflow. I think what folks who've worked on this have learned is using the data model APIs doesn't perform and it doesn't give a responsive experience as that form's being displayed. And so Lingk brought in some expertise around GraphQL and worked to develop this demo. So Ben, if you hand it over to me, I will kick off the demo here. And so what we see in here is I'm basically a department chair and I'm coming in and I need to change something about a section. So as the department chair, I'm coming in, selecting the campus, but you see what we have here is all the courses and course sections that exist for that campus. You'll see the soft docs kind of pre-fill type of head works. But what you aren't seeing behind the scenes is we're actually retrieving all of that data in near real time as we load that form up. And we're doing that with the magic of GraphQL and data access. I'm going to go ahead in here and now change the end date, add a couple notes as to why I'm changing the end date. We have an additional lab, so for this one, we need an extra week. And so we're going to enter all of that and submit it. And basically, that's where SoftDocs Retrieve takes over and is going to take that form and route it to the next person in the approval chain. And so I'm coming in now as the next person in the approval chain. I'm the schedule coordinator. And so I'm coming into my inbox here in Retrieve. And I see I have this course section change form that somebody had submitted. This is where I would come in and possibly as somebody who uses Colleague or Banner, go make that change in Banner or Colleague. It'd be possible to expand on the integration and actually make that update ourselves if we ever wanted to, but there's a lot of possibilities. And the key being, we're using the right Ethos services. You can provide a very responsive experience and get data in a near real-time fashion. And that's really what we're showing with this demo here. Ben, I am going to turn it back over to you.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, continuing on here. So I'm going to talk about this use case here and what we've got. So another use case is course registration. A student logs in, their data is populated via SIS lookups. They confirm the information and submit their form, which is automatically routed to the defined approver. The approver makes the appropriate decision and may even send it back to the student. Upon completion, the final form is securely filed in the student's record folder. So we're partnering with Lingk to help us build out pulling available courses for the term selected. This would give a student the ability to select a term and course they'd like to enroll in while allowing them to select a course they'd like to drop in the current semester. This can happen from a forms coding standpoint today, and we're hoping Lingk can enhance the speed and reduce the complexity of the API models we're calling. Another use case is what we see here is a new hire onboarding. An employee submits the onboarding forms to trigger a workflow that sends an email notification to HR. The forms would get routed to other departments for appropriate processing and necessary decisions. Once returned to HR as a packet, the employee is notified that the forms have been successfully processed. The packet of forms can then be converted to PDF and transferred to a repository to be securely stored. There's so many use cases that can be done beyond the use cases we've covered today. There are opportunities for further automation and increased productivity through AI and analytics as we enable the application with real-time data access. To further enable institutions to adopt these tools as a way to increase efficiencies, we're gearing up for the release of our no-code forms so that we can enable further that automation. And this is a preview of what that will look like and further to come in the future very soon. And Jason, over to you.
Yeah, and then from the Lingk side, a lot of people know Lingk is a company that provides technology and around integrations, but did want to highlight the additional things that Lingk does, specifically around our higher education practice teams. And so we have teams built around the banner and ethos process, or products, Colligan, Ethos, PeopleSoft, Anthology, Salesforce. And what these practices do is not just provide the technology, but we provide the domain expertise too on the best way to implement it, and provide those answers that are tough to get at. One of the things we've learned is that institutions don't necessarily need more technology. They also need some assistance in how to use and implement that technology. And so those are things Lingk can provide, not just around data integration, but also around data management and data analytics too.
All right. That brings us to our Q&A. Let's
Yes.
look for some questions here.
So I see two out here that I can answer live right now. Um, so the first question from Rahul is, what if I would like to call banner tables from our custom portal? And Rahul, I'm guessing that question is, in a SaaS world, how would your custom portal actually query the banner database to get data? And the answer for that is you would actually have to go through Ethos to get that data. Whether it's the Ethos APIs, Ethos Data Connect, Ethos Data Access, but you won't be able to call those banner tables directly from your custom portal in a SaaS world anymore. And I hope that answered your question. And then Austin, I see your question here. For a new customer not currently using a SaaS SIS, would you recommend implementing Ethos directly or start with an ODBC connection and wait on Ethos until necessary? So the way I'd approach it is really, I don't think there's a yes or no answer as to the correct approach, and it's really dependent on your institution and uh, where your priorities are and when you want to move to the cloud. And what I mean by that is with Ethos, it's more complex. It does take longer to build some of these integrations than if you used a direct ODBC connection. And so I don't want to, if you have business priorities that are really high priority, an ODBC connection might meet those needs, understanding that anything around ODBC is going to be rework once you move to a SaaS SIS. Okay, question from Steve. Any plans on moving to using Ellucian's business process APIs in the future instead of Ethos? Um, so just to clarify a little bit about what Ethos does, especially when you're making API calls to Ethos integration is just serving as a pass through to the Ethos APIs on the back end. And so the integration would still go through Ethos integration, even if it called the business process APIs on the back end. And I've worked with a lot of clients where they use a combination of data model and business process APIs, all at the same time for a single integration to meet their needs. And so definitely those are going to be a big future the business process APIs. Ellucian's clearly stated that they're implementing more business process APIs, and so they fit some particular use cases really well. All right, the next one is, has Lingk been used to solve other process issues like identity management, creation of accounts to Active Directory Azure AD? I'll take that first part, Ben, and then I'll let you take the second question about how is Softdocs licensed. So for the first part, Srinivas, we have done and tied into many processes around identity management. So Lingk, in addition to having connectors for higher ed systems, we also have connectors for other systems that are widely used in higher ed, things like Zoom, for example, Azure AD, Redshift, Azure Cosmos. And so we can really, what we like to say is we can really connect to any system. And if I didn't state one of the ones you're interested in, we will create new connectors as needed. So that was the Lingk side. Ben, you get the second half of the question.
I'm not familiar. I'm not sure exactly how the question's being framed around that. I'll have to get back to them
Okay,
on
it
that.
was around Softdocs licensing.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know the specifics around it, so I'll have to get in touch with
Yep.
the maybe client success or someone.
Yep.
Break that down.
Awesome. And then next question, can you move Softdocs integrations to Ethos in stages, or is it an all or nothing proposition? And the answer to that would be stages. Like we could even do something where the new workflows you build or new forms you build use Ethos, but we can move the previous forms to Ethos in the future. So it's not an all or nothing thing. It can be, the approach can be looked at for each form. And that looks like all the questions we currently have. A good number came in.
Yeah. All right. Then I think we are good to wrap up there. So thank you to everyone who attended. We appreciate your time and taking time to join us today to talk about this partnership and what the great work that's coming in around Ethos. All right.
Just taking one more quick Q&A.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, we just had one more pop in. So the question is, my question, we'll move on to the question. We've been recently advised to look at Ethos Ellucian Experiences Data Connect tool. Can you speak more about the pros and cons and how how it relates to Ethos? So the way I describe Ethos or Ellucian Data Connect is that it is a way to pull data or query the transactional database more in bulk. If you look at the APIs, the challenge with the APIs is they're what I call transactional APIs. And so they function on a transactional basis, student by student, for example. And so that's some of the challenges with the APIs. Ellucian, the Data Connect tool is all about trying to solve that problem when you're connecting to the transactional database. It's a relatively new tool. I actually haven't had a single client that has adopted it for their use case yet. Certainly can see where it fits in to grab data displayed in the Ellucian experience and tying it into integrations, but can't really speak for how well it works or anything right now. So another question, can Ethos be used to write data back to Banner in addition to pulling data from Banner? Pre-populating forms and handling approval processes is useful, but our institution would like to automate some of the processes after a form is approved. And the answer to that is certainly Ethos supports writing back to Banner. Numerous ways to do it: business process APIs, Ethos data model APIs. And so as an example, in the use case I was going through, the demo I was going through, it would be possible to have taken that data I changed and send it right back to the SIS instead of having somebody go in there and do it themselves. And so that can all be automated.
Looks like that is all we got.
Yeah. Any other questions that anybody would like to pose? There are a couple that we'll follow up on afterwards too, that we saw come through.
Yeah. All right. Well, now the end. Again, thank you all so much. Appreciate your time. It's been great spending some time. And any other questions, you feel free to reach out and we can address them after you've had time to digest. All right. Have a great day, everyone.